then we'll open up straight away for questions. A couple each. I'll go around the room. Okay, thank you. Jim.
Okay, so welcome. Thank you for coming. It's good to see you. Today is the start of a new chapter for Celtic Football Club. It's taken us a little longer than some would have liked, but when you're hunting for gemstones, patience is a virtue. So we have two people to introduce today, obviously. Don Mackay, he's been in the business for several weeks, but he takes office as CEO next Wednesday, 1st of July. Don brings a fresh management style. He brings a wider experience of other disciplines. He's very much connected and understands the modern sporting arena across the world. Ange Postecoglou brings another perspective from an entirely different part of the world. He brings profound experience, and he brings a style of football that I think Celtic will love. The aim now is to look firmly forward, hunt down the big opportunities. We've possibly been a little too introspective in the recent months. It's time to widen the camera lens and go forward from here. To the fans, I'd say a massive thank you for sticking with it. Now let's put that extraordinary energy into supporting the manager, supporting the team, and supporting the club. That's about as much as I want to say, so I want to hand over to Dom.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to see you all. I'm delighted that we are welcoming Ange to Celtic Park today. I think securing Ange is a huge coup for this club. Having spent a number of weeks getting to know Ange, I'm hugely impressed by his style, his plans, his philosophy, and I cannot wait to see him taking the team in the games ahead. So we've got a real winner in Ange, and that was something that's very important to the club. So I'm thrilled that we've managed to secure him. It's a huge job to be the head coach, manager of Celtic Football Club. You need a lot of experience, and Ange has 25 years of experience, both at the international level, but also at the club level, and that'll be hugely helpful to Celtic. So I'm absolutely thrilled. So it's great that he's able to come to us today. He's taken a little bit of time because we'd had to do our quarantining, as many of you will know, down in London. But it's brilliant that he's here today. So thank you very much for coming out. And Ange, a very warm welcome to Celtic.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom, and thank you, Chairman. And good afternoon, everyone. Look, I'm absolutely equally humbled and excited and about the responsibility that's been given to me as manager of the Celtic Football Club. From my perspective, it's something that I would have dreamt about years ago, being over here and managing in Europe, but to be given the opportunity to manage one of the big clubs is fantastic for me. As I said, it's a great challenge and an exciting opportunity, one I'm looking forward to. And hopefully, over the course of time, we create some special moments here at Celtic Park and rightfully bring this club back to where it should be. Thank you.
Ange, welcome. Congratulations, first and foremost.
Thank you.
How would you describe what you bring to this role and what your approach will be at Celtic?
I guess what I bring is maybe a little bit of a different perspective. I've had a different, probably, journey in football than many others. Most of my experience has been on the other side of the world, and I guess at international level. I bring here what I bring to every football club I worked with, every organisation. That is a real clear idea of how I want a team to play and a clear idea of how success comes from that. And the one thing I think people will be in no doubt about is how the team will play its football. Every club I've coached, every team I've coached has had a real clear identity in terms of that, and I think it fits nicely with the traditions and the expectations of this club. And I think it's probably, I'm not one to say, but it's probably one of the reasons why I was chosen, because I really think that's an important part of us moving forward, is that we want to play our football a certain way, and my 25 years I've played football a certain way.
As Dom alluded to, there have been certain obstacles to get past to get you here. Can you talk us through the process to get you to be here today, in terms of the interview process remotely, but also having to deal with quarantine?
Yeah, I'd rather not because I've just got through it. But yeah, no, it was a challenge. Everyone's going through challenging times. We all have to do things a little bit differently. So every process is takes a little bit longer. It's not as smooth as we'd all like it to be. So, you know, the initial contact came obviously, you know, via Zoom, and you know, I had great chats with the people involved, and obviously the key decision makers, and you know, they obviously did their background on me, and I did my research to make sure that we were a good fit. And since the decision's been made, it's again, you know, obviously I was already in a role in Japan, so I had to make sure that everything went smoothly there, because I had a great relationship with the Yokohama Marinos club, and it was getting across. And you know, again, we've had to follow protocols, rightly so, like every other citizen of the world. And but during that time, you know, I've been working. Everyone's been really good at the club in making themselves accessible. You know, at all hours of the day, you know, fighting jet lag at 3 a.m. I could still work. So yeah, it's been a long process, but at all stages, what I was looking forward to was yesterday, just that first training session, because that's where I do my work. And you know, I had a good first day yesterday.
Last season, Celtic finished 25 points behind the eventual champions. How confident are you, given how much there is to do in a short space of time? You can be competitive from day one in the league, but also in the Champions League qualifiers, which come even sooner. Yeah,
well, as I said in my initial comments, it is a massive challenge. But you know, as a manager, you always get opportunities where there is a massive challenge. You don't walk into places where everything's running smoothly and the team's running well. So I understood that before I got here. I'm not really looking at sort of gains we have to make from last year. I'm looking at the football we're going to play, and if we get those fundamentals right, and you know, there's a method I have in doing that, and it's a process that takes certain steps to go through. If we play our football, we'll have a good chance of success. And for me, that's a day-to-day proposition of every day trying to improve a little bit in certain key areas. And you know, every club I've managed, every organisation I've been involved in, the focus has been on making sure every day we get a little bit better, and you know, at the end of the race we lift our heads and hopefully we're in first place.
I'll ask this question as delicately as I can. I hope you won't take offence by it. The club spoke to another candidate before turning to you. On the face value, perhaps you weren't their first choice. Does that put you out, or does that act as extra motivation to prove them right now?
No, I mean that was very delicate the way you did put it. So no, I mean, you know, you're assuming I was second choice. I might have been fifth choice. I don't know, but it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I as I said, for me, what's important is that I've been given the responsibility and the opportunity. Just that fact alone shows that the people who have made this decision have faith in me. That's all I need, and from then on, it's up to me to sort of get down to working the way I want to, and as I said, trying to bring success to this football club.
Hi there. It's a question for yourself, Ange and Dom. Can you just give us an idea of what the management structure is going to be like and who will be involved?
Sure, so I'll kick on first. Ange, of course, is the manager of Celtic, and will lead the football side of our organisation. I, having taken up the position of Chief Executive, will look across the whole organisation at football, at the business side, at the engagement side, and we'll make sure we've got the right structure for the next decade. That's really important. But with the experience that we've got with Ange at the international level, at the professional level in Japan and Australia, I'm going to tap into great expertise here to make sure we get the right football environment. What's really important to me is that we win and we have success and sustained success. So that means you've got to have the right environment across all those three areas that I mentioned earlier on. So I couldn't be more pleased to have someone with the experience and the depth of experience that Ange has to help us on that journey.
Talking about experience, it's been suggested there will be a director of football role, and Gordon Strachan may be back in that capacity. Is that the case?
No. So I guess I just mentioned a moment ago, one of the things that I guess any new chief exec wants to do is look across the whole organisation. This is a fantastic club with really solid foundations, but I want to make my own mark, and part of that is looking across how we might want to modernise and how we might want to evolve, whether that's on the business side, on the football side, or the engagement side. So we'll take our time, we'll put the right structures in place to make sure we've got a modern, forward-looking club. And as part of that, a critical component is to have a successful winning team led by a brilliant manager, and that's what I've managed to secure.
So just to confirm, it's a no to a director of football role and Gordon Strachan, or both?
I'm completely open-minded. So I think that your suggestion was Gordon's coming in to do a director of football role. That's not the intention. My plan is to have a look around the structure and decide what the right structure is. Once we've got an idea of what the right structure is and what it feels like, then we'll get the right sort of people to populate that.
Ange, can you just confirm who your backing team is? It going to continue to be John and Gavin?
I'll make those decisions as we go along. Again, my view on these things has always been that I'll trust my judgment above anyone else's, because I'm going to be the one working with people every day. I've had plenty of people offering opinions, and that's great, and I take as much information in as possible. But every role I've walked into, I'll back myself to make the right decisions, and that'll happen over the course of the next sort of few weeks, both with players and with staff. I'm really pleased with the reaction I've had so far, but there's no doubt the environment will change, the way we work will change, and you know, we'll see over time which people fit in, and if we need to bring people in to fill gaps or to add to expertise, then we'll do that. The club's given me the freedom to do that, but again, I'll make my decisions you know, when I've seen what's in place first. Yeah.
A number of loan players have gone back to the parent clubs. A number of players are in the final year of their contract. One player's in the final 6 months. What sort of rebuild job do you have here?
Yeah, it's fairly extensive. I mean, I think you know, as you pointed out, it is a season of sort of change. But again, I think after sort of the period of success and then what happened last year at Celtic, I think it was at the football club, it was always going to be a time of change at some point. From my perspective, it's an opportunity. Yes, we do have to make some changes, but at least, you know, I can make changes that I think will help us go in the direction I want to. So that means whether it's staff or footballers, I can bring in the ones that I think will fit the picture as it is now. But we have a lot of work to do, and it's already started. You know, obviously, I know people are keen to know what moves we are making, but we're working very hard. Again, there's some challenges that everyone's facing, but from my perspective, with the players we have existing, they'll all be treated on merit, and as I said, the environment will be there for them to embrace should they want to, and for ones coming in, we'll bring ones that I know will fit.
Christopher Ayer has stated publicly that he wants to leave, and he says the club said that would be allowed to happen. Odsonne Edouard is constantly linked with a move to Leicester. What can you tell us about their futures?
Well, I haven't spoken to either of them yet, so I'll wait till I speak to both of them. They're both, you know, just sort of arrived in the country, as have I, and I'll have discussions with them, and we'll make the best decisions for the football club. That's where my interest lies. You know, for me, the individuals within that, I totally understand and respect their own wishes, but I'll always make decisions that are in the best interest of this football club, because that's my responsibility. That's why I've been brought in. So whatever I think is going to be best for our football club moving forward in my area, that's the direction we'll go.
Yeah, a question for both Ange and Dominic. You've both had a limited opportunity to have a look around at the job that needs done. What is at the top of your to-do list?
I'm going to go first. So there's a lot to do, and that's the great challenge. In some respects, both Ange and I are outsiders, so it gives us an opportunity to look around with fresh eyes and a fresh perspective across various parts of the club. What I mentioned earlier on is that the club is in fantastic fundamental shape. We've had a disappointing season last year, but our challenge is to bring back that success, have winning teams on the park. Priority for me just now is to settle Ange in, make sure we have a productive pre-season, and then start to evolve and modernise the club. And importantly, to get spectators back into the building. I've just come off a call with the Scottish Government, which gave me enormous confidence that we're going to get some spectators in before too long. So, you know, we're sitting here at Celtic Park and no one wants to be in an empty stadium. So our priority has to be settle the team in, settle Ange in, and then make sure we get people back into the building.
My priorities change minute by minute because there's so much to do. So just depending on what's important in the day, I think I've already sort of stated publicly I have a real interest in what happens today and making sure that today's perfect for us and then moving from there. But yeah, the priority for us right now, as we speak, is to make sure that when our first Champions League game comes around, that we're as ready as possible. So it's a pretty narrow focus to work on the players that we know are going to be there for that game, trying to bring some players in and trying to work as hard as we can on the training track to make sure that the players understand the kind of football we want to play, because right now that's sort of our main priority. But for me, that means that it's a day-to-day proposition.
Much has been made about the jump this is for you, perhaps. How big a jump do you think this is in terms of your career? And also, quite a lot has been made about the pressure of being Celtic manager. What are your expectations of that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by jump, but I'm assuming you're saying I worked at a lower level or some lesser level. I guess that's a matter of opinion. I've coached at a World Cup. I've coached at against some of the best teams in the world. So that's not how I look at it. I look at it as another opportunity, an exciting challenge, an opportunity to work, where I know people are so passionate about the game. All those factors are what's attractive to me. I know the history and traditions of this football club, and I know how passionate the supporters are. Everyone tells me the experience here at Celtic Park is like no other. That's why I'm here. And if that means, again, you talk about pressure. If I didn't want pressure, I'd probably be doing a different kind of occupation, or would have stayed coaching my local club with my friends. But I'm here because this is where I want to be, and this is where I want to coach, and this is where I want to have success. So, and I think most people understand that, and I think I'll get judged on what happens moving forward rather than what's happened in the past.
One for Dominic. The chairman mentioned it took a little longer than some would have liked. Why did it take so long?
Sometimes to get the best, you just have to wait a little bit longer. And I'm utterly delighted that we've managed to secure Ange. I've spent time in Australia, spent a lot of time in Japan, so I knew all about Ange. So when the opportunity came to speak to him, it was a great conversation, and it was a really productive, quick conversation, probably one of the best conversations, if not the best conversation I've had in the last 5 weeks. When I offered Ange the role, he immediately accepted, and I could tell immediately that he had the passion, the keenness and the desire to get Celtic back to winning ways, and that's what I wanted. We wanted as a club a winner, and his experience, being a bit of an outsider like myself, I think is enormously valuable.
Have the club set Ange targets, and Ange, have you set targets for yourself?
So the targets for every Celtic manager and every Celtic supporter is about winning, about having success. We're craving that success. We've had unbelievable success, 9 titles in a row, quadruple trebles. So we want to get back to successful ways, but we want to do that with a style and a panache and a flair, which Ange's teams in Japan and Australia have delivered. So I think it's about winning, of course it is, but it's about doing it in a certain way.
I just want us to play football everyone talks about. If we do that, I reckon we'll be well on the way to success.
And you talk about this being a season of change, in a sense, but have you got to kind of balance that with the expectations of the fans that they want a league title in your first season? Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. And again, the supporters are passionate, and that's what you look for. Again, anyone who knows me and sort of my history, I don't take finishing second too well either. So, I'm driven to be successful, and I understand that people. There's an immediacy about that. I mean, it's the world we live in nowadays. We don't want to wait too long for too many things. But, I've managed to sort of navigate a career where I can match the goals of building football teams that play a certain way with success at the same time, and that's my goal here. And I'm hoping that the supporters and everyone involved with the football club will see almost from the first day that the football we play will excite them, and they look ahead. And I'm well aware of what the expectations are in terms of success. So, but that's why I'm here.
You've touched on players already, but one player that is out of contract is Lee Griffiths. He says he has had discussions with you. Is he a player that does have a future here?
Yeah, I've had a good chat to Lee. You know, again, he's a player who's done fantastically well for the football club over a number of years, and had a great discussion with him. Again, he's in the same place as everyone else. A lot of it will be dependent on them and them embracing what I'm trying to do. I've made it clear the kind of football club we're going to be, the kind of football we're going to play, the expectations around that in terms of everything that's involved in being a professional footballer, and you know, we'll continue those discussions, and if Lee fits in the picture, then I'm happy to bring him back, but again, those kind of decisions I'll make when I have all the information I need.
And for you, in terms of rebuilding the squad, players could leave, players coming in, does Ange have the financial backing from the board to rebuild this squad in the way that he wants to?
Of course, we want to make sure that we've got the best possible team on the park for the new season. Celtic, like every club, like every industry, has been affected by the pandemic, as all your industries have been affected as well. But because of the smart financial management of the club over the last number of years, we're in the best possible shape to be able to capitalise on Ange's appointment and bringing back some players to make sure we can hit the ground running. We've got a lot of work to do, we recognise that, but we're in great shape to be able to do that.
Hi Ange, you said at the start that the Celtic job was a kind of role you dreamt about years ago. Can you just tell us what you knew about Celtic and just the wider Scottish football before Dominic even contacted you? Yeah, I've mentioned to a few people. I know sort of Australia and kind of the other side of the world feels like maybe a different planet to people over here, but I can tell you that, you know, Celtic is very well known on the other side of the world. I grew up, you know, in Melbourne, and I love football. Not just playing football, I was passionate about football from a young age, and I wanted to know everything about it. So, as you do, as a young, inquisitive boy, I wanted to learn about all the great teams in the world, and Celtic was certainly one of them, you know. So I read the stories of the Lisbon Lions and Jock Stein, and then followed it. I had, you know, the team I played for when I first started playing had 5 or 6 Scotsmen in the team. One of them is still a season ticket holder at Celtic, so he brainwashed me from a very young age as to why this football club's great. So, you know, I think sometimes, again, from this side of the world, you don't appreciate the magnitude of a club like Celtic. I'm very, very familiar, and I'm not alone in that. I think the whole of Australia is pretty excited about my appointment, not necessarily because it's me, because it's this football club, because everyone knows who Celtic Football Club is. So, you know, when I said it was, you know, a dream of mine, yeah, it's been a dream of mine to manage in Europe for sure. But to be able to do it at one of the big football clubs, one of the most famous football clubs, it's like I said, I'm truly humbled and equally excited by it. You said you want your teams to play football that's talked about. Dominic talked about panache, attacking style. Can you tell us a little bit more about, you know, your philosophy, any specific formations? You know, what can Celtic fans expect from your team?
They can expect from my team the same that I've delivered with every other team I've managed, and that is, you know, we want to be a team that's exciting to watch, that scores goals, that's aggressive, that doesn't take backward steps, that doesn't fear any opponent or any team. You know, we want to dominate games of football, but they're all words, you know. Every football team I've coached has had an element of that. And that's why we've been successful. And the reason I do it is because it brings success, not because of some, you know, ideological dream I have about the way football should be played. It just brings me success wherever I've been. So, you know, I hope this place is rocking, you know, and people don't sit down for 90 minutes. And it's exciting at both ends of the field, defensively and attacking. But our teams will be set up to win games. You know, we won't go in any game fearing any opponent or wanting to take a backward step.
Okay. Yep.
Ange, you mentioned it's an extensive rebuild. Have you had similar challenges in the past, and what's been the key to hitting the ground running when you?
Yeah, as I said, I think just about every job I've had has been an extensive rebuild for a number of reasons. One is, you know, usually you come in when people are needing change. Secondly, you know, the way I sort of get my teams to play is challenging and requires a major shift, usually both in, you know, playing stocks or staff or the way we work. So it's not unusual. I guess the challenge we have this time is just time more than anything else, in that, we're 4 weeks away from less than 4 weeks away from a Champions League game, which is very important. So that's probably the only bit that's a little bit different from the past. But in terms of the rebuild, this is the bit I enjoy. In terms of my management style, I am a builder. I like building football teams that play a certain way and are exciting to watch, and that takes certain elements to be involved. And this is the process we're in at the moment. So it is difficult, but as I said, this is a bit I enjoy, because this is a bit where we put the bricks and mortar in place to build something special.
I know it may be difficult to predict, but if all goes well, when would you like to see? When can we expect to see your first signing, and how many do you hope to make before the Champions League?
Yesterday, a couple of days ago. Look, we're working hard, and to be fair, like I said, it's a challenging time, all around the world in terms of signing players, and the ability to even watch players these days is very difficult. But club's working awfully hard, and I'm pushing them as hard as I can, and we're hoping that we can make some announcements very, very soon. And certainly, from our perspective, there's some urgency around at least a couple of positions, particularly with this game coming up in 4 weeks' time.
Thanks. Dom, can I just ask you a couple of questions? Obviously, last season there was a bit of I think it's fair to say, there's a bit of a disconnect at times between the fans and the club. How do you go about getting the fans back on side, back on board?
I think the focus is about, I guess, a new journey that we're on together, which is about coming back out with the team and performing, and also getting supporters back into the stadium. I got a note just as I came in the door there to say how we're doing in terms of season ticket sales. It's been incredible, the level of interest in our season ticket sales. So as soon as we can get people back into the building, I think that connection re-establishes itself. Watching a team which is playing the way that Ange wants them to play, that's the focus for us. And there's other things one can do to make sure the closeness between the club and the supporters is a bit tighter. But ultimately, it comes down to having a successful team. I think people back into the building, and that's a big focus for us.
And on the subject of fans back in the stadium, can you maybe elaborate further on the talks with the Scottish Government? Can we expect even full houses, early in the season at all?
Well, Ange and I were fortunate enough to be down in Wembley with about 22,500 people watching the Scotland-England game, which was an incredible game. And it was great to have that number of people back into the stadium. And the way in which they set up the stadium was exactly how we will set up the stadium up at Celtic Park. And I think the announcement that came through from the First Minister just about a week ago in respect of social distancing being reduced on the 19th of July and then again on I think it's the 8th of August, gives us renewed confidence that we can get large volumes of supporters back in to back the team here at Celtic Park and, of course, at other stadiums across Scotland. So we're very active with the government just now. We're very active with the council, making sure we've got robust plans. But that's what our supporters have been crying out for, the opportunity to come back in and back their team and support their team. And I can't wait for that to happen.
And you've spoken previously about your desire to develop young talent. Is that something going forward that you want to bring through here for youngsters in terms of that pathway that you've seen McGregor, Tierney and Forrest take?
Absolutely. I think it's a real important part of any football club because, again, I think I've already mentioned that when you get a player coming through your own system, it validates certain things that, the club believes in something, a certain type of way of playing, a certain type of footballer. And when you see them out here, I just feel the supporters see one of their own out there, somebody who probably was in the terrace at one point, now playing for their football club. And it means more. So it is an important part of what I believe in should be imperative in a football club, and that is you develop your own players, and especially a club like this. I've already had good chats with the people involved in the academy, and it's something I'm definitely going to be involved in. There's some good youngsters who we hope to push through. They're currently training at the club with the first team because we're down a little bit on numbers, and so it's good for me to just have a look at them. But if there is anyone within our system that shows the talent and the potential, I'll be the first one to give them the opportunity because, as I said, I just think it gives a special feel to any football club, but as I said, particularly this one, if they see one of their own out there. And the examples you gave are fantastic examples of, when it's done right, it can be special for both the player and the football club.
And Dominic, just on that, traditionally the model has been to develop players and sell them on, or buy players in at a lower price and sell them on in terms of development. Is that a model that will be retained here?
I think we just want to make sure we've got the right model and maybe a blend. I think the key thing is that the manager gets the support that he needs to have the right sort of team around him, and that's what we're motivated to do. But of course, an opportunity to come to Celtic is a huge attraction for a lot of players, both through the academy system, which we'll want to have a look at and we develop, but also in terms of opportunities for players to come from overseas to put themselves on the map. So it's a blend naturally. What I'm interested in doing is making sure we've got the right support to Ange and his colleagues in the football side, that we have successful teams. That's really what I'm aiming for.
Ange, can I check the lads that were on international duty with Scotland? Will they be available, do you think, for your first match against Midtjylland?
Yeah. We'll give them a bit of a break now. I think they've earned a break. It was, it was a fantastic tournament for Scotland in that, it's the first major tournament they've been in for a long time, and I guess the boys in there have ridden an emotional roller coaster of some highs and probably some disappointment, a little bit of disappointment in the end. So it's good for them to have a break. But from what I know of them, and I've spoken to a couple of them, they're professional and they're keen to get back. If anything, I'll probably have to just keep them away for a little bit longer just to make sure they come back. But they'll be ready to go for sure.
And a final one from me, sorry. If you have a message for the Celtic supporters, what would it be?
Look, I gather that there was a little bit of a mixed response when I got announced as the Celtic manager, but what I do know is that 100% of Celtic supporters will want me to be successful, because nothing's more important to them than this football club, and if I'm successful it means this football club's successful. And I guess from my perspective, Dom's already mentioned, I just can't wait to see him back in here, and my role is to try and provide a football club that they're going to be proud of, a team they're going to look forward to watching every week, and a team that, as I said, everyone's talking about. If I can achieve those things, and obviously success follows that, then hopefully I've honoured the role that I'm in. But so far everyone's been super supportive, and like I said, I can't wait to experience it firsthand.
Dom, I know there's been a transition period between yourself and Peter Lowell. Some suggestions that he may stay on in some kind of consultancy role. Is there any truth in that?
So Peter will certainly finish up at the end of this month with his responsibilities at Celtic Football Club. He'll extend, we've got 2 years I think it is left to go on the EC, the European Clubs Association, and that's a really important role for Scotland and for the club to have a representative there, so he'll stay engaged with that. And what's been brilliant during the whole transition, Peter's been fantastic to me, but he's achieved so much. He's been kind enough to say that he's at the end of the phone for me, so if there's any interesting questions that I want to bounce off him, he's always going to be there for me and for the football club. So I can't wait for him to enjoy some well-earned rest. He's worked incredibly hard over the last 17 years, amassed an unbelievable cache of trophies. So the challenge for Ange and I, and for the whole club, is to go again and bring back that success and bring back that wonderful atmosphere at Celtic Park.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.